Guthrie. We worked together before. We've known each other from years from Turner. He has his own company now, Arcade 160 Studios, for years, and he's doing some amazing work. And we're going to look at some clips. How you doing, Jimmy?
Doing great. How are you, Sean?
I'm doing great, man. The craziness of COVID. It's really hot when I walk my dog, but other than that, I'm doing good, man. I'm healthy. What else can you ask for, right?
I know. I feel the same way. Family's healthy. I'm healthy. I'm happy.
Right. Very, very cool. So let me get through these ads that I have to do. It'll take a couple seconds, a couple minutes, and then we'll get into our conversation. So I am going to mention first one of my partners, Restream, and just show a little ad. Here we go. Restream is a service that takes your live streaming video and sends it to YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, like I am right now. It's very cool. They also have their own live studio if you want to broadcast from there. It's like having a TV studio in your house. Restream is awesome. I encourage everybody to check it out. It's a really great product. And then you can see on the screen here, ECAMM logo. ECAMM is the little TV studio that I have here, this software that enables me to roll in clips, pictures, have lower thirds, have logos, and sound effects. I've never done this before, but you'll appreciate this, Jimmy. Okay, here's some sound effects. Okay. Okay, there's just a bunch of them there. I've never used them before, but it's got a bunch of stuff in there. ECAMM is very cool. And if you go to the live post that I have right now, you'll see a Restream referral link and an ECAMM affiliate link, and check both those softwares out. They're very cool.
I didn't hear any sound effects, by the way.
Oh, you didn't?
No,
Oh, that's really interesting. Thank you for telling me that.
just mouse clicks. Unless the sound effect was a mouse click, because sometimes I have to use that
No,
as
no, it was like a applause and a glockenspiel. So,
okay.
what you can do, Jimmy, and I forgot to tell you this when we were offline, is you can go to the Facebook page of Lights Camera Pro and see what everyone's seeing, which is you and I split screen with lower thirds. It's not just you and I on Skype. So,
Nice.
I will ask you the first question, Jimmy, that I ask everybody. How did you know you wanted to get into the film and TV industry? Were you five? Were you in college? What sort of set you off? And you're like, this is what I want to do. I want to be a composer. I want to be a sound designer.
Right. So I went to college at UGA and ended up majoring in business, MIS, computers and business and stuff. And my
Okay.
heart wasn't in that. I was playing in a band all the way through high school, all the way through college and high school, and I just really wanted to work with music. And so a friend of mine, David Barbie, who's another recording engineer, and John Keane, another guy that's in Athens, had gone to this school called Recording Workshop. And it's like a really short, intense program. It's in Chillicothe, Ohio, in the middle of nowhere.
Uh-huh.
And you go there for 6 weeks and you learn the basics so that you can be useful as an assistant to somebody, and then you learn on the job after that. And so I did that, came out, got a job at a music studio working for free from an old friend from college, and I worked for free for 6 months until I figured out that you can't work for free forever.
Yeah.
So I got a job at Doppler, which is a local,
Okay. Yeah, I've heard of Doppler. Yeah.
and thought, okay, well, I'm going to do music stuff here. But really, their bread and butter was advertising. And so I kind of got the bug of working on radio commercials and TV commercials and voiceover and all that stuff, and creating sound design. And I just really loved it. So worked there for 2.5 years, and then moved over to Turner, where it was all TV
Right.
and design. So that's kind of the path that got me going where I'm going.
Right. Very cool. And what were you working on at Turner? I remember Cartoon Network, but were you also working on other clients there?
Yeah, so when I first started there, the department was tiny at Turner. It had just gone from 3 people. I was the fourth because they had opened a second room,
Okay.
and we were just kind of doing a hodgepodge of like TNT Latin America was I think our biggest client, And that was always really fun stuff. Get to work on things in 3 languages
Yeah.
and get to work with all these different people from different countries is really fun. Um, and Cartoon Network Latin America. But we also had the voiceover room there that back when everybody came in to do the voiceovers, you didn't just have people that are doing it remotely like you do these days.
Right.
So if you were working in the voiceover room at Turner back in the late 90s, uh, all the clients that do all the other work were coming through there to record their voiceover. So you really got to meet everybody in person through that. So I met some people that were young Cartoon Network producers, and we just had a real good relationship. Guys like Chris Kelly and Craig Gordon and Larry Morris, and all these people
Mm-hmm.
that are being with the company now for 20 years, and they're creative directors and that sort of thing. But
Right.
they were all brand new at that time, and so I kind of became their one of their go-to sound design guys, and I always loved working on cartoon stuff just because you can do anything. You can just kind of create crazy sounds, and anything goes, and it's always comedy. And so worked on cartoon a lot, but then in about 2005 or 6, TBS wanted a dedicated audio person just for all their promos, and that became me. So I've been working with TBS really ever since then. And
And that's a really interesting question that I have about how you bridged yourself across from Turner to your own company. Like, what made you decide, okay, I want to go off on my own, I want to do my own thing, and then how do you continue to work with? I mean, you're working with other people also. I saw on your website there was Donald Glover and some other actors and people coming in and out of Arcade 160, but how do you continue working? I mean, you're working with TBS still, and you're working with HBO Max now.
right, yeah. So that group of people from TBS, I've continued to work with them. I started my own studio in 2010, so we're coming up in October. October 1st will be the 10-year anniversary, and I've gotten fortunately to continue to work with them, and they've also taken on more networks, and so that group also does True TV and a little bit of TNT. The TNT, TBS, and True TV have all kind of merged under one big umbrella,
Right.
but I mainly work on the TBS and True TV end. But then also HBO Max launched this year, and they're doing a share of that stuff as well. So I've gotten to do a bunch of really, really fun HBO Max promos and trailers.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So let me see here. I'm going to put up on the screen here any questions or comments. Add them now for Jimmy. We have all these people adding comments sometimes when we post. It depends on who's watching. But we are on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn right now. We're all over the internet. And anybody out there who has any questions for Jimmy, who owns his own business, is a sound designer, composers, and a band, put them up there and we will respond. So let's talk a little bit. We were going to try and play a track from your band, Space Giants,
Yep.
which I actually like. I like it a lot. And I remember seeing you guys out there. Actually, we just got somebody to ask a question. Steve Williams. I don't know if you know him, but he
Oh, I know.
says, you know Steve Williams? Okay.
He's in the band.
Oh, he's in the band.
Yeah.
So he's asking the question, do you still play in a band? If so, what's the name of the band?
Uh,
So it's Space Giants is the answer. We were going to try and play a track, but there's some weird copyright music issues with Facebook and YouTube, and they'll take the post down. So we're not going to play it because it is with a record company. But we are going to play some other clips. But let's just talk about your band for a second. You used to play at clubs when it wasn't COVID. Tell me
right.
whatever you want to tell me about your band and how it started.
Yeah. So we started, I guess it's been 5, maybe 6 years ago. And we're 4 guys that play original rock, and I write songs Steve Williams, who the commenter that wanted to know if I was still in a band, he writes songs in my band. So that was a great question, Steve.
Right.
And but and then all four of us really we collaborate, and so we all contribute to writing the songs.
Right.
And we play out at Smith's Old Bar, normally during normal times. I'm hoping all these places survive through the pandemic because it's really, as hard as everything is on restaurants, it's even harder on live performance venues because they're just shut down.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we love playing. We get together once a week to rehearse when it's not a pandemic.
Right.
And we released an album last year called First Transmission. You can find it everywhere: Spotify, Apple Music, all that good stuff.
Very cool. I can bring up a picture. So we'll keep talking, but there's a picture of your logo and each of the guys here. I don't know if you have YouTube up and you can see it, but yeah, that's very cool. And I listened to the track. I mean, is it off to say that it's kind of like Stray Cats in that genre of music, or is it different than that?
So that one song that I sent you is called 45s, and that is sort of a throwback song about my collection of records that I had when I was a little kid. My older brothers and sisters, I'm the youngest of five, and so I had all these old scratched up records and a little fold up record player.
Okay.
And a lot of them were from late 60s, early 70s. And I would just sit upstairs in the room over the garage that we had and listen to these records over and over. And that's part of how I got my love of music and sound and everything. And so this song is just sort of a tribute to that. And I did it in a style of kind of an early 70s, a little bit of that tone rather than a lot of our other stuff is a little bit harder rock, a little bit more.
Okay. Is it rockabilly? Is that what you call it? Rockabilly? Or is it like a different?
It has a little bit of a rockabilly vibe to it, but
Yeah.
I would say ours is more like anywhere from Cheap Trick to Elvis Costello, kind of guitar rock, power pop, we like to call it.
Okay. I'm going to ask you one more question about what instrument you play, but there's someone here, Conifer Lawson. I don't know if you know them.
Yes.
What are your biggest pet peeves in regard to sound when you're watching TV or a movie or listening to music?
Oh my gosh. Most of my pet peeves would be like watching TV. I can always tell when somebody hasn't used an audio person for their mix of their show. Usually a promo or a commercial, they're going to have a good audio mix, or at least somebody that gave some love to it. But if you're watching a reality show or, a lot of TV shows that seem like they would have the budget to just have somebody spend a half a day or a day working to smooth out the sound. And you hear people that are obviously cut together from two different locations, and you can hear the difference and a word that's cut in there from somewhere else that they said, and just things that I spent a lot of time smoothing out. So
Bad
usually when
sound design is what you're
when
talking
I
about.
do the job right, people don't notice.
Right.
It's like, do notice when all these inconsistencies are happening. So yeah, that stuff bugs me. And then sound effects, I joke sometimes with my wife that like we'll be outside and there'll be like a really loud bird. I'm like, that sound effect of the bird is way too loud, but of course it's real life. But right. there are some sound effects that people will put in things on TV that I'll just have a pet peeve with it being too loud or too quiet.
That's very funny that you say that, because when I first got to Turner, when I first got to Turner Sports, because I was at Cartoon and TCM for a while as a video editor, I first got to Turner Sports, and I can't remember the sound designer, but for some reason somebody asked him to pump up the sound effects, and it was just like, some guy dunking, and it was like and I was like, whoa, 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 this is way too, like, this is not working at all, this is way overboard. And he was like, oh, okay, and he fixed it, but he was like, okay, you want the crazy sound effects, here we go, we're gonna
Yeah,
have
give it to you that way.
explosions or whatever. Okay, so this is Cher. She has a
Like
question.
things really trended in that direction, though. A lot of stuff that used to be over the top, now it's like there's so many spots that have giant, massive hits on every single thing. A person turns their head and there's a
Yeah.
so
What do you
it's
think
fun.
about? You have a question here from your wife, Cher, and we'll get to that in a second. But what do you think about like this Sicario thing? The Sicario music, I call it. They use it on the television show FBI. They use it on Sicario, and it's like, it's this ominous intro to the scene. It's like, and it makes you feel like, okay, something bad's gonna happen. Like, it's
Yeah.
overused a lot in a lot of different shows and movies. Do you notice that, or have you
Oh
heard
yeah.
that?
Yeah. Yeah. That's definitely. There's a pattern. I work on a lot of trailers and promos, and so a lot of times you'll start out with that, and you'll have a sound bite, and then the music will kick in, and then there's going to be a crescendo right before the music gets to the end of the spot,
Right.
and they have a thing that's called a riser that's always in there. Sometimes two or three of them layered on
Mm-hmm.
top of it, which is just kind of this noise track that gets louder and louder until it stops, and then the person says the final line, and then boom, it goes to the end page. And so it's a very that's been the pattern for the last 5 or 10 years, that they start out, like you said, with that Sicario sound
Mm-hmm.
and then go into the big ride.
Yeah, I feel like it's definitely a trend. Okay, so here we go. We're going to add this to the broadcast. This is Cher saying, do you have a favorite type of project to work on? Bands, TV, animation? What do you like the best?
I like the variety. So, I mean, one thing that I love, I think, that keeps me doing what I'm doing and keeps me excited to do it every day, is that there's always a new challenge. And so I really like doing animation stuff. I also really like editing voiceover and making things sound natural. I just did a spot this morning where the people were talking on the beach, and there were all these edits cut together of people talking, but there's ocean sounds behind them. And some of the times the person's talking really quietly, and sometimes they're talking loudly. And when you try to even those out, then the ocean sounds sound really weird behind them, because you're pumping up the volume, you're pumping up the ocean, and it just kind of like a train wreck. And so I can go in there with noise reduction and different tools, make things just sound natural. And to me, that's fun. I just like problem solving.
Right.
So
Right.
I'm geared that way. I mean, I'm glad that I like doing what most people would think is tedious, but I like that stuff. But yeah, I really like working on trailers, just because they've usually had a little bit more love put into them from the editorial side, that somebody has really spent a lot of time cutting together a good trailer, and then I get to put the final polish on it.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting that you say problem solving, because I think this is about my 59th interview so far with this podcast, and I've done audio and video. And universally, people are saying that their job is problem solving, whether they're producer, director, writer, actor. Everybody's trying to figure out how to make this, whatever it is, the scene work, the music work, composing music, whatever it is, everybody's trying to solve problems. And especially directing, you just have like a million problems you have to solve every day.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's a business. Like we said, it's always different. Every time that you go onto a set or do an edit, it's never going to be exactly the same. There's always going to be a new set of challenges that require creative solutions. And I think most people, at least like on our end as editors and sound designers, need to be able to use both sides of their brain. You know, you need to be kind of tech savvy a little bit and kind of have this numbers side, logical, how am I going to attack? Also got to be creative and really be able to, you know, have an artistic mark that you put on things as well. So that's another fun thing for me. I get to kind of use both sides of that.
Very cool. So John Guthrie, who is that?
That's my brother.
That's your brother? Okay, so I'm going to ask you this. This is a crazy new thing, and I don't know if it's going to work, but I've been wanting to try it. I think we can bring John on camera.
Okay.
Are you willing to do that? Do you think John would want to do that? Let me ask John.
Ask him.
We're using Skype, and I'm using this restream to send it to a bunch of different places, so it might not work. But let me just ask him if he wants to come on camera right here in the post. He is watching right now. There's just a little icon that says, "Do you bring them on camera?" So I might be able to do it. John Guthrie, if you're watching, do you want to come on camera right now with your brother? It's such a crazy thing, but I want to do it with certain guests too. He said, yes, we're going to do it. Okay, John, here we go. Let's see. Add John. Let's see. Their friends won't, unless they're in your selected audience. Okay. Yeah, it might not work. Sorry, John. It's not working because we're sending this restream thing. We're not just on Facebook. That's what I'm guessing. But thanks for trying, John. We'll have to try it sometime when we're just on Facebook. Okay.
So much for problem solving.
So much for problem solving. That's a bummer. It just says add, and he's not anywhere. Let me see. Maybe he says yes. If I double click him or something. Somebody just said, "What's up, Space Giant" from SIF.
Oh, he's another member of the band, our bass player.
The bass player. Okay, what instrument do you play?
I play guitar.
Okay, and who's the lead singer?
That's me as well.
Oh, geez, Jimmy does everything. All right, so we're gonna watch a clip from what is the show with the girl on TBS? Search Party. We're gonna watch a Search Party clip in a second. But indulge me and let me just put up a still of these two guys, Kevin and Kevin. I got to give a shout out to them because I had some questions about stuff that no one else could answer, and they helped me this morning. Kevin and Kevin are stand-up comedians from New York, and they have a show called Gutting the Sacred Cow. Gutting the Sacred Cow, Kevin and Kevin Guthrie and Kevin Israel. They're hilarious. I had them on the podcast, and they basically watch movies and tell you, try to take down some of the greatest films. So check out their podcast. They're really cool guys. They help me out. And they are everywhere. Apple, Google, all that kind of good stuff. All right, so let's go to your Search Party clip. Is there anything you want to say? But is it a trailer? Is it a promo? We're going to watch the whole thing.
I love this show. Unfortunately, this clip has spoilers in it because it's season 3, and so hey, you know, if you haven't watched seasons 1 and 2 of Search Party, then you're going to get some spoilers here. But this show's really great. It's got Alia Shawkat, who was in Arrested Development. She played Maybe in Arrested Development. And it's just got an incredible cast of these 4 comedic actors that are so fantastic. And I just love the show. And it's been a privilege to be able to work on it for 3 seasons. The first 2 seasons were on TBS, and this 3rd season is now on HBO Max. And so everything's on HBO Max if people want to watch it.
Very cool. This will be full screen with audio. It's 2.5 minutes, and we won't be able to say anything. We'll be muted. So here we go. We'll talk after. This is the Search Party trailer.
This is the United States versus Dory Seif and Drew Gardner. Counsel, are you ready to proceed?
Oh my God!
The legal system is so messed up!
Dory? Oh my God! I haven't seen you since high school! Hey. Girl, look at us. We made it!
Okay, so who told? Out with it.
What do you mean?
Obviously, one of us told the authorities.
It wasn't me.
It wasn't me.
What about Chantal?
What?
I think it was April.
It wasn't April.
Great, then it was Elliot.
How could it be me? I brought it up.
Dory, see?
Where?
Your lawyers.
I'm gonna close my eyes for a minute.
Dory, look at you in that cute prison jumpsuit. You're famous.
Why?
Your arrest was the most fabulous public arrest ever.
Could these hipsters be cold-blooded murderers?
This is just a huge misunderstanding.
How does it feel to be a viral sensation?
A case that's amassed international attention.
Come on, Dory, one for your fans.
Do you think we're the most famous people in the world right now?
I hope so.
Me too.
We just ran Mr. Goss's prints. There's a perfect match where the body was found.
I don't have fingerprints. When I was 12 years old, I pressed my hands onto a hot plate to impress some straight friends, and they burned off. Now, do you want to arrest me, or should I just go?
Get out. Do you want to get drinks?
Let's get drinks.
I mean, personally, I'm a huge fan. I'm all in.
I know a place far from all of this. The Hamptons!
I hate being put on the spot.
Well, that's what court is. Do you want to join Jesus Christ?
I'm going to save us.
The truth will set us free! The truth will set us free!
Stop. You're all psychopaths. Just manipulating and killing people all the livelong day.
We're gonna figure it out!
You're all psychopaths. Just manipulating and killing people all the livelong day.
Very cool. There was some sort of echo. The spot looked really cool, but there was some of the things that sounded like they were echoing or something. I don't know. I just got the clip from YouTube, so. But it was a very cool spot. Very well done. There was definitely a section in there where all the voices were overlapping that seemed like it must have taken a very long time to put together.
There was a lot of audio love that went into that trailer, and yeah, some of those where there were a bunch of different voices happening there. It was something that needed to be balanced and moved around a lot. But yeah, I really enjoyed working on that one. I think it came out great.
I think I watched a few episodes the first season. It's a very fun show, and I love her, the actress. She's just very dynamic and interesting.
Yeah, it's a funny show. I mean, I wouldn't say it's funny. It's dark comedy.
Dark comedy for sure. Yeah.
You know, they're kind of these millennial kids or 20-somethings that are a bit privileged, and so there are a lot of great just undercurrents and jokes about their life and their way that they're trying to get through this crazy situation they put themselves in.
Very cool.
It's fun.
And do you know who edited the piece?
That's a great question.
Or who was the producer?
I don't. You know, Tom Jacobson's my person that I mainly work with, producer.
So that's
over
what
there.
I meant, Tom.
It's Tom's group, yeah.
Okay. Very cool. All right, so let's do another one. This is Karma, and I just want to make sure we don't have anything selected here. Because there was a little bit of an echo in that last one, and this is about sound design. But let's just try it, and if it's echoing, I'll stop it because we want to hear the sound design.
Right.
Here we go. This is Karma on HBO, and it's kind of like a Survivor with teenagers. Would you describe it that way, or how would you?
That's exactly how I'd describe it. Yeah, and it's teenagers, and the whole idea is that rather than just trying to win challenges, it's all about karma. It's all about them, you know, treating people right, and then that coming back to them in the game. And it's a pretty good show.
Right.
So it's on HBO Max.
Okay. Here we go.
18 teenagers from all over the country have traveled to this remote alpine forest to compete in a game unlike any other. To win, they will have to conquer the elements, compete in physical and mental challenges,
And most of all, master the laws of karma.
Karma means what goes around comes around.
Let the games begin.
There was nothing but wood and a sleeping bag.
Totally missing my mom's right now.
I'm furious.
I like my team over any team here. We have to work together, otherwise, we're going home.
Let the games begin.
Everybody ready? Go!
Let's go!
I was born for this.
You know that we're a strong team. We deserve to be here.
Karma's gonna come back and get him.
The stakes are high, the prize is big, but how do you want to be remembered?
Whoever goes home, it's up to fate and it's up to karma. I will do anything it takes to win.
It's better to make friends than enemies. I'm gonna fight until I literally can't anymore. You know, what comes around goes around.
Karma's gonna come for all of us.
That's very cool. And are you, this might be a stupid question, but are you doing all the, like, is that stuff that you are supplied with, or you find, or you create, you compose? How does that work? Because it's very cool.
It's a combination. So in that particular one, it did come in with some of those sounds in there, but always a lot of balancing that happens where, I'll get things from great editors like yourself, and a lot of times the sound effects are overriding the voiceover, or the voiceover and sound bites are too quiet, or they're getting you're pulling down the sound effects too much in order to make room for the voice. And so that's kind of one of my big things with mixing, is being able to have everything full. So you really feel those big hits, but then you also hear everything people are saying. That's kind of the long and short of a lot of what I do, is like you feel the music and the bigness of everything, but then you also get what everybody's saying.
Right. And I definitely felt that when I worked on a lot of NBA stuff. I would do a feature or something and sort of send off music and sound effects, and then it would come back from the sound designer and just be like, whoa, what did they do? This is so much better. Like, it's just a totally different league. Like, this whole piece is so much better. And then it feels like it's validated to go on television, because sometimes we'd have to mix ourselves and we'd put it, on NBA.com or some website or something, or for a meeting or something, and it just doesn't have the same power and intensity, and it just doesn't work. It doesn't work as well as when a sound designer completes it. But you've also done some composing, right?
Right. Yeah, I don't do as much of it just because I'm pretty busy with the sound design and mixing stuff. But yeah, I've done some composing for TV, and for back in the Turner days, I did a bunch of wrestling theme songs and stuff, and did a piece for Wayne Johnson that for TCM years ago that ended up winning an award, and for his King Kong piece. So that was really fun.
Was that what you had on your demo?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, okay. I saw that. That's very cool. Yeah, this podcast is weird, man, because do you remember Chris Merrifield from TCM?
Oh, yeah.
So he was looking for somebody to do some voiceover and also someone to do some directing on a award show that I guess is going to be virtual. And he contacted me, and then I gave him Steve Henderson's name, and he also, I think, was talking to Jim Isa, who I interviewed, and Jim Isa was talking to this other art director who wants to make feature films about funding that was on the show. So there's a lot of fun stuff that comes out of this thing. But I do have to tell you, I think I know from editing that travel piece with you that your daughter's name is Lily.
That's right.
Okay, so Lily has just posted looks like a lightning bolt and a heart. Woohoo, yeah.
All right. Thanks, Lillers.
All right.
So yeah, speaking of the travel show, so my family put together a pitch pilot for our own travel show called Guthrie Family Getaways about what was that, like 11 years ago or something.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. Whatever happened with that? Did you hear back or?
You cut the 7-minute sizzle reel.
Right.
You did countless hours for us. We appreciated that. So, well, and it never made it to TV, but the sizzle reel is still out there. You can still find it on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. I love Anthony Bourdain and No Reservations and Layover and all that stuff. And I would love to travel the world and do a show like that and just go to different restaurants and places and talk about it.
Yeah. We kind of decided eventually, because we thought about doing it as a web series and kind of producing it ourselves. And then we realized maybe if you're always working when you're on vacation, it's not really a vacation. So
that's exactly what I was thinking. I love the family angle because nobody's really doing that. It could be good for Disney Plus or something, or one of these family networks, Freeform or something. But that's what I thought. I thought, do I really want to go to Greece or Italy or somewhere like that, England, and have a camera and, like, I just want to enjoy it.
I know. Yep.
So, and then what happened? 8 years later, I contacted you and you did the sound mix for my short film, Ramona, An Online Date Got Bad. And that's on YouTube.
Fantastic, by the way.
Yeah, it was fun, man. It was really fun. That was a fun thing to do. So let's move on to, we were talking about Arcade 160. You are super busy because I tried to get you on the show 3 times and finally you're here. And if you have to go, just let me know. I don't know if you have a deadline or something. It's COVID and it's crazy, but you are super, so you're just doing everything through Zoom and tons of projects and...
Yeah, I'm just doing a little bit of the Zoom WebEx stuff with clients, but a lot of it's just remote, and you just send the approvals and everything through the web. So people don't come in as much as they used to. Used to have a client sitting back in that chair right there all day long, and they don't do that anymore anyway. So this job really lends itself well to the quarantine. But yeah, I've been super busy. Really grateful for that. Last night I was here till midnight, so I knew I had this coming up, and I'm like, all right, well, I don't want to be up against a deadline when we're doing this. So, yeah, it's good to be busy.
It is very good to be busy. Can you just talk about that a little bit? Like, did your hours change when you left Turner and opened your own business? Is this like 7 days a week because you're doing the bookkeeping and you're setting up the rooms, and like, are you doing everything, you and your wife together, or how does that work?
Yeah, we do everything, and there are times when I have to work a weekend, but most of the time, it's regular business hours ish. I mean, I'm here from 10 to 7 pretty much Monday through Friday.
Okay.
It's also nice to sometimes, if you've got something that you got to be at, like tomorrow, my son's moving into Georgia Tech. And so I'm going to work it out where I'm able to do that. And it was definitely an adjustment owning your own business rather than because I was at Turner for so long that you take vacation when you work for a big company. Sometimes it can be hard to block out the vacation or have the days for it. But once you're on vacation, you're like, see ya.
Yeah.
And when you have your own business, you're never quite on 100% vacation.
Right.
You're always making sure that no balls get dropped, even if somebody's handling work for you, or you're working remotely while you're out of town. So I did that a few weeks ago where I had to do a little bit of work, and I had somebody back here that was able to take care of the rest for me.
So you're saying that your son is moving into Georgia Tech now? Like this weekend, or?
Yeah. So they're doing somewhat in-person classes, from what I understand. It's a professor, and they're taking tons of precautions. So we're hoping for the best.
Very cool. My son is going to be a junior, and he had an internship at Georgia Tech in the computer engineering lab, and it was canceled because of COVID. So he's hoping to do it next year, which is better because I think he was 15 and he couldn't get into the labs because he was 15. You have to be 16 to get into the lab. So, but he was kind of bummed out. He couldn't do his internship. But maybe our sons will see each other there. Hopefully,
I know.
we'll see. But congratulations. That's a hard school to get into. I know I've done a lot of research and
really proud of him.
Yeah, you should be. Okay, so I'm just putting up on the broadcast here. Share. Your wife is put up a YouTube address if people want to see that travel show. And let's just wrap it up, Jimmy, with advice. Advice you want to give to young people or people switching careers. We always end the show on advice that you would give to them to get into this industry. What would you say to somebody who wants to do what you do someday?
Right. It's harder and harder, I think, these days to know exactly where everything's headed. But we work in TV, and is TV even TV anymore? Or is what we now call linear or legacy networks are kind of been what I've specialized in for years. But now streaming stuff, working for HBO Max, it's the same basic principle. There's always content. There's always some sort of promotion that needs to be done. And so they're always going to need editors and people with a good sense of how to make things flow and how to make things look and sound, and colorists. And so I think if people really love it, there are always going to be things to do, and you just have to, the thing that I decided was I want to do what I want to do, and I'm not going to worry about the money. So I worked for free and then I worked for cheap, but getting that experience is so much more important at the beginning. And then hopefully, you do a good job, you make some contacts, and you can really start to get, further up in your career.
And is there a school that you would recommend, like that does sound design, a college or one of these technical universities, if people want to do sound design?
The different options that I've always known about. So there's the one that I did, which was the recording workshop in Chillicothe, Ohio. And it's 6 weeks, and you come out, ready to be an assistant or an intern.
Wow.
And so I recommend that. I think it was great. But then people that want to get more of a 4-year degree, there's Full Sail University. Mm-hmm. There's Middle Tennessee State University, and there's University of Miami. Those three have really good programs in audio engineering. At least those are the ones in the Southeast.
Is that what they call it, audio engineering? It's not like communications or to do sound design?
I think the degree is probably audio engineer. They might have a sound design degree now. I'm not sure. But yeah, I call myself either an audio engineer or a sound designer, depending on what I'm doing. So if I have people coming into my voiceover booth and I'm recording, like, I did this podcast I didn't mention called Over My Dead Body.
I saw that, yeah.
#1 podcast last year for a while, at least. And it was really, really fun to work with Matthew Scher and the people at Wondery. And so when I'm doing that sort of thing, I'm definitely not sound designing. I'm just making sure the mic's in the right spot and recording. And so that's audio engineering.
Right. And then did you actually edit those episodes, or someone else did that?
I didn't. Somebody else edited those. So I would send the files off every day.
All right. Well, this has been great, Jimmy. It's been great to talk to you again and see you again. If you want, feel free to tell everybody where they can find Arcade 160 Studios online, or where you're located in Atlanta. Obviously, it's remote, so you can work from anywhere in the country with sound design and video.
Yeah, so we're located in Midtown, and most people, like I said, don't come in anymore. So. But we're at arcade160.com. You can check out the website, and Hit me up.
Hit me up. Very cool. All right. Well, hopefully I'll get to come see your band, Space Giants, at some point when you're back in the venues and not just playing remotely on Zoom.
That'd be awesome.
Very cool, man. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah.
I'm going to share it all over social media, and if you can do the same, that would be great. And in about 2 months, because I'm so backed up with so many interviews, I do about 2 a week. This will be an audio podcast, and I will send you a link, and you can share that around too. But thanks so much, man. This has been great.
All right, Sean. Thank you.
All right.
Talk to you soon.
You have a good day, and take care.
All right.
Okay. Bye, Jimmy.
Bye.